you doing?
All right, guys. We got the live business spotlight going on today with a good friend, Chris Burns from okay, I gotta pronounce this correctly, Ox Brewery. I'm Spanish, man. Excuse my accent. My partners always make fun of me. But welcome to the lab, man. We got a good friend, David Donaldson, my partner, Drew, and partner, Tyler. And we're here today to highlight your business and learn a little more about some of the things that you do in your business, man. So welcome.
Sounds awesome. Appreciate the invite, guys. Looking forward to a conversation.
Hey, by the way, just for the public out there, we're not drinking while we're doing this interview.
Well,
Don't speak for all of us.
I was going to say, how much you want to bet?
Speak for
Only
yourself.
Chris is. Only Chris is.
I mean, no, we're not. No, we're not.
Maybe.
All right, Chris. So listen. So tell us a little bit about, how your business was born. We want to hear a little about it. I don't know much about beer, man. Just the beer that my friends give to me, and the beer that my friends give to me used to give to me in the military. So tell us how everything happened. Like how did your business start?
Well, we got started just like your friends probably got started. My dad introduced me to home brewing about 15 years ago and kind of dragged me kicking and screaming into the hobby. He invited me over to his house to brew an IPA one day about 15 years ago. And I said, Dad, that doesn't really sound like something I'm interested in. I'm going to pass. And he convinced me to come over. And long story short, we just really enjoyed the way that brewing beer could satisfy both halves of your brain. You can be as creative and artistic as you want to be, and you can be as analytical and scientific minded as you have the patience for. So, fast forward, we kind of got the hobby kind of took control of our lives, and we decided to stop giving our beer away to our friends and start selling it. And so that's what we've been doing for about the past 6 years. Old Ox Brewery in Ashburn is about 6 years old now, and we distribute our product through various restaurants and grocery chains throughout Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C.
Outstanding. So how many family members do you have in the business?
6 total. So it's the 4 primary owners are myself and my wife and my 2 parents. 3 out of the 4 of us are in the business full time. So both my parents work with me every day, although they've been in quarantine for the last 8 weeks or so. And then my wife drew the short straw and kept her corporate job to provide things like health insurance and stability. And then both my brother and my sister are also minority owners in the business as well.
That's outstanding. Ty, I know that I see you, man, leaning towards the microphone. So go ahead, man. I don't want to hug the conversation.
I mean, not to start off with a joke, but I can't imagine how that conversation went. So can you tell us a little bit about how the conversation went when you turned to your wife and was like, hey, would you keep your corporate job so I can go make beer full time?
She said, you go do whatever you want as long as you get all that crap out of my garage, because I had all the homebrewing equipment in my garage. And she said, that sounds great. That sounds like a great idea. Go get it out of my garage. So,
and on a serious note, I mean, a small setup, we were talking beforehand, you can manage with, dad or a partner. Hey, let's go brew 10 gallons of beer. Right. And then let's drink it all and see how it goes.
Yep.
When you get bigger, though, you got a big scale operation. It definitely takes a team. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've learned about teamwork through starting a brewery, especially teamwork with your family? Because I know that makes it more of a challenge.
Oh, yeah. We always say that after 6 years in business, the greatest accomplishment is that we're still talking to each other and still enjoy each other's company, because it definitely is a different dynamic, between sitting at the Thanksgiving table and all getting together and then sitting at the conference table at work every day is a completely different experience. And you got to be able to switch that on and off. And you really do have to compartmentalize in order to not go crazy, which we've become very good at. But you're right. There's a huge difference between brewing 10 gallons at home and brewing effectively 930 gallons is our batch size here at the brewery. And we knew from the very beginning that we were not going to be able to do that with just the humble home brewing experience that that we had and we're bringing to the table. So right from the very beginning, we invested in the people that could really produce a high quality product very safely and very efficiently. So we've got an amazing team of brewers. We've got 4 production staff led by our head brewer, Dr. Allison Lang. The entire staff is amazing.
I think that's amazing. I want to know, when you guys were making it at home and it finally hit you, we got to do this on a large scale. We got to sell this, or I'm sure your friends had been telling you for a while, man, you should mass produce this. What beer was that? And when did it hit you that you were going to do this as a career?
Well, sure. Well, your friends will tell you anything when you're giving them free booze, but yeah, the first beer, actually there were 2 beers that that made it, that we still produce now, that came from our home brewing days. The first one is Black Ox, which is our rye porter, and it's the most award-winning beer that we produce here at the brewery. And that was actually born from a homebrew batch of beer that we made for my brother's wedding. And the crowd received it well enough that we decided it needed to have a permanent home in our lineup. And then the other beer that made it from our homebrew system to the production level was Alpha Ox, which is our pale ale, one of our more popular beers here at the brewery.
That's awesome.
Chris, and you guys are pretty adept at rolling out new beers. How regularly are you testing and trying out small batches to decide what goes into mass production?
Yeah, we're very purposeful about that. We think that innovation is one of the hallmarks of being a small craft brewery, and we definitely do consider ourselves a small craft brewery. We release a new beer every Wednesday. It's called One Off Wednesday, and we still use the relatively sophisticated homebrew system that we were using 7 years ago right before we started. We still use that as our pilot system here at the brewery. So we'll produce, 10 to 15 gallons of a new beer every Wednesday and release it, see what people think. Right now, we've kind of pivoted in this quarantine time. So every Wednesday we're releasing what we call quarantine canteens, which are basically to go, single serve beers.
We're stopping by, man.
Of this new product. We'll get about 50 or 60 of them, and they'll sell out in about 3 minutes on Tuesday night. People will come pick them up on Wednesday, and then we do a Facebook Live to go through the beer, sample it, try it with different shelf-stable food pairings, like Vienna sausages, which, spoiler alert, not great. So, we try to have some fun with it.
Something I heard you say was you pivoted, right? And I like to ask this question of small business owners is, how did you pivot to make sure that the doors don't close once this is over? Is there something you did? I heard you mention hand sanitizer.
Yeah, so we've basically completely changed our business model in a matter of 6 weeks. So we had on March 16th we had to close our tasting rooms to the general public, so we were no longer able to serve draft beer in either of our tasting rooms. So we have 2 tasting rooms, one in Ashburn at our production facility. And then recently we opened a second facility, a tasting room facility in the town of Middleburg, which is an amazing little town in Loudoun County. And as of March 16th, we had to completely stop on-premise sales of product at those 2 tasting rooms, which was a big hit to revenue. At the same time, bars and restaurants, or just in Virginia, just restaurants, had to close for on-site consumption as well. So basically 2/3 of our revenue between those 2 pieces of our business, the third piece being grocery store package sales. But those 2 pieces effectively dried up overnight. And so we immediately pivoted to doing curbside takeout at the brewery, doing packaged products to go, which we're still doing today. And that's doing relatively well. And then we're also offering home delivery now as well. on a temporary basis. So we are, the Domino's pizza of beer producers right now. We will get you your beer in, same day or next day. And, in addition to that, we're also looking at new product lines. I talked a minute ago about this whole One-Off Wednesday series that we're doing, and kind of the virtual events that we're doing around that, in order to just try to keep people connected and maybe provide a little bit of distraction, during people's otherwise sequestered lives. And then on top of that, we're exploring new product lines like hand sanitizer. Right now, we're producing about 270 gallons of hand sanitizer a week for sale to the general public and to commercial accounts as well.
Man, talking about a shift, that's incredible.
Well, we're fortunate on this one in that at the federal level and at the state level, the government really has worked well in this particular instance, where they've allowed temporary authority for breweries and distilleries to produce hand sanitizer to kind of help with the demand, because right now you just can't find it.
Supply and demand, that's all that matters, right? So you guys have been basically strategically positioning yourselves to be able to be an asset to whatever is going on in your environment. So good on you. So tell me, as a business owner, right now, with all the changes and all the uncertainty that's going on, right? So obviously the economy has changed and the way you're doing business has changed. So what keeps you up at night right now?
Oh boy, what keeps me up at night most is just trying to figure out what the new normal is going to be when the immediate crisis is over, and how quickly we're going to get to that new normal. And nobody really knows. The governor of Virginia just outlined his phase 1 reopening plan, and that's supposed to start on May 15th. Right now, it's still unclear as to how that's going to look for places like Old Ox Brewery that have on-site tasting rooms, how that's going to, work with having people actually in our tasting rooms. And then the question is, from there, how quickly do we get back to where we were before? And I don't know the answer to that. And I think that's what keeps me up most, is just not being able to understand and plan, because I have no idea what we're going to look like 2 months from now. So.
Yeah, none of us do. So how many people you have in your organization again? In your brewery?
So we've got 4 members of our production staff. We've got sales staff. We've got tasting room staff. So all in, we're about 15 to 20, depending on pre-COVID versus post-COVID. So
how's that challenging you now from a leadership perspective, and knowing you're running a fully effective organization? How are you working with them, one-on-one, to make sure that they stay focused on the end game?
Well, I think constant communication and being open about the fact that you don't have all the answers is okay and expected. But I think making sure that you have some semblance of a plan and you're executing against that plan is critical to keeping people engaged and keeping morale up. And then, of course, relaxing restrictions on after work shift beers. That's a big morale booster as well.
That's awesome. That's great. Love it. So, Ty, you got any other questions? Drew, David?
Well, it's not as much a question, but I was kind of hoping that maybe with the shark outfit would make an appearance today through the interview process. But for those of you who don't know Chris, obviously with the beard, he is quite a personality. And you guys got to make sure that you check out his tastings that he does after each of these releases. He's quite entertaining, and he's quite the marketer.
Hey, so Chris, listen, I want to invite you to, the lab is really a center of gravity for small business owners from all over the world. So once you have joined us on the lab, you can always come onto our page and share something to our lab community. The only thing that we ask is that you come on and, you addressing the lab community as your family, right? So you're a family now because you came and work with us. So come and share your stuff with us. We'd love to hear some of the things that you're doing, and I think that everybody gets to learn from it. So
I can't wait. That sounds awesome, and I'd love the opportunity to learn from folks outside of my brewing industry as well. I think looking outside of brewing at what folks in other industries are doing provides great inspiration, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. David, tell us a little bit more what he was talking about. What you were talking about, because I want to know more about what you were saying.
Well, Chris is just a fun guy, right? So like he does his tastings each night. He's very informative. So when he's launching his beers, he's tasting with different products, and he's got a very unique and unusual spin on how he presents things. And I'm not going to take away from what he does because I want to help him drive traffic, but people need to go out to Chris. Tell us your Facebook page for the audience.
So facebook.com/Old Ox Brewery. And we do a Facebook Live every Wednesday. So you can access that Facebook Live right from our Facebook page. So at Old Ox /Old Ox Brewery. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Tonight at 7:30 is our next one. So check it out. And we have a special guest this evening. One of our entertainment partners, Lucas Bond, who's a stand-up comedian, really funny guy, is going to be joining me tonight. So if you're up for a few giggles and maybe a little giggle water, then it should be a good time.
We're going to share it on the lab.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
And I dare you to come out with a new beer and call it Giggle Water.
You know, I've looked into that, and I think it's already taken.
Oh,
Yeah. That's the challenge with beer names. You know, there's 7,000 to 8,000 breweries in the United States, and if you think of a good name, guaranteed it's already taken these days.
So you got to watch out for those trademark infringements, huh?
Oh man, don't even get me started. It's
you're right. There is a story behind that, isn't there? That's a story for another day.
Yeah, I'm ready to tell it. I might need another beer, but
I forgot about that one. Now, guys, you also need to understand, what I love about this group in this labs format is that it's not just the small business people, but the people coming together. Last week we had it with Reds. This week we're having Chris. These are people that are really involved in the community, give back to the community. And Chris is somebody that, has been involved. He donates his time, he donates his product, right? And he gets involved, and he's, we talked about shifting and creating hand sanitizer and the things that he's doing for himself and his family, but he also does whatever he can to give back to the community. And that's why we get along so well.
That's
hey,
awesome.
Chris, you can tell us more about that, man, and community involvement and why you feel that's so important for small business owners.
Well, from our perspective, beer has been the connective tissue of community since the dawn of civilization. So,
amen. Preach.
So we think it's incredibly important as a pillar of our business that we act as a connection point within our community. And for us, that means a few different things. One, we want to provide amazing experiences at Old Ox Brewery, but we also want to use it as a platform to partner with like-minded businesses, help each other out, help out folks in need, help out nonprofit organizations that really do great work in our local community. So we partner with so many local nonprofits, from our local Ashburn Volunteer Fire Department to amazing organizations like Loudon Hunger Relief and just so many more. The Arc of Loudoun County, Loudon. So, it's providing an amazing product that puts smiles on people's faces is incredibly rewarding, but being able to leverage that in order to do good work in the community is equally as satisfying. It's some of the best part of what we do.
Outstanding. So listen, anything that we can do to help, please feel free to share with us. And now, before we even go to the end of the call, we're going to a session of the call that's called Rapid Fire. So Drew is going to ask you some questions. And this is completely off of business, but just stuff that just you ready. Come buckle up.
Let's
go.
go.
Right, Drew.
Get a sip of giggle juice.
Here we go.
Hey, liquid courage.
Yeah. What's the first beer you ever drank?
Oh man, it was Bud Dry.
What's the best food that goes with beer?
Oh, all foods go with beer. But if I had to pick one pairing to give you right now, I've got curry on my mind with IPA. It's amazing.
Oh wow, that's not what I expected.
I'm hungry, man.
Yeah, me too. What's the last show you binge watched?
Right now, I'm watching the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yes, sir.
oh,
That's a good Michael
He
Jordan.
said Michael
Jordan.
Jordan, not Jackson.
wrong one. My bad.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, I've got Tombstone on my brain right now.
Fast Times.
That's the second person that said that.
Yeah, no, this week too.
Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry. What's the last book you read?
Oh, geez. Do you consider, the documentation related to the CARES Act a book? Because that was, it was pretty long. I'll tell you that.
There were a lot of pages in that. What's the pro sport you miss the most watching?
Hockey.
Hockey. Favorite
Absolutely.
hockey team?
I'm a Caps guy. I actually didn't grow up watching hockey. I grew up in Chicago, but I didn't grow up watching hockey. I didn't get into hockey until my son did. So he plays on Ashburn Extreme, and which is the fine little logo right above Dave's head there. And we just fell in love with the sport. And,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a great excuse to sip on a beer in the middle of the day and talk to some great people.
Hey, so before we close up and we say goodbyes for now, where is the best place that our audience can find you, Chris Burns, and the Ox Brewery at?
So the best place to check us out is on our website. It's oldoxbrewery.com. And through the website, you can find all sorts of different information, including where to pick us up in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. You can also find information on how to pick up beer directly from the brewery and how to get home delivery as well. So oldoxbrewery.com for all of your beer needs.
Outstanding. All right, folks, for everybody out there listening to us, we want to thank you on behalf of the Lab and our partners, Drew, David, and Tyler, and yours truly, Eric Quadras, Mass Business Coach. Please come visit us at the Lab, and if you have anyone else's small business owners out there that wants to come and join us in the Lab for a session, come on down. Let us know. We'd love to have you and share your story. Have an amazing day.